Since the beginning of the big boom in franchising and these big brands becoming public organizations, they started to report very diligently on the unit growth every year in their organizations. Now, this unit growth represented mostly single unit franchisees because that was a typical growth in the franchise organization. Now, they not only report on unit growth, but they report in the percentage of those units that are being opened by existing franchisees. Now, the reason they do that is because it shows that they have good operators, number one, but mostly is because if people that are already franchisees are willing to open more units within the same brand, that means that they are having trust and success with those brands, and therefore those brands are successful, which makes the brand more attractive for new investors or franchisees. Now, in the very recent years, franchisors have made a very big focus on development of multi-unit franchisees. Now, the reason for that is going to be something that we're going to be discussing today, which is not only the reasons, but why franchisees so much want this multi-unit franchisee growth. Now, this growth is coming for mostly two ways. Number one is that a lot of the new development and agreements from new franchisees, they are actually doing area agreements. You know, it is very rare now, unless you are a startup or an emerging franchise, that you are actually focused on single unit, sales. Most mature and legacy brands are really focused on those area development or multi-unit growth of existing franchisees. And that is the second way in which this multi-unit movement is coming from. So the first one is from new franchisees signing, multi-area or multi-unit development agreements. And the second way in which these franchisors are going multi-unit is by really pushing for existing successful franchisees opening more units or acquiring more units that may be underperforming. And those are basically the two big ways in which they're doing that. Now, most of the growth, though, is truly coming from existing franchisees growing and acquiring more units so that they can go into multi-unit. And there's many reasons why this is a good idea or good for franchisors. Now, let's go over some of those reasons why franchisors like multi-unit. Number one is because these franchisees that are already in their network, in their organization, they obviously are proven franchisees, because if they're going to be motivating for existing franchisees to go multi-unit, they're going to be focusing only on those franchisees that have already shown that they are successful with the brand. And if they're operating at least one unit successfully, past behavior or results is a very good predictor of future behavior and results. So, obviously the risk goes down. And that is one of the reasons they like existing franchisees to open more units. Another reason is that they are able to achieve better, more consistent brand execution. The reason is existing franchisees already know the brand, already know the standards, and if they're going to be asked for or motivated to go multi-unit, that means that they do a good job at actually implementing the brand and the brand standards. They know the brand standards, they are complying with the brand standards, and of course, they have proven that they can be successful following the brand standards as they are and they're supposed to. And so obviously franchisors like that, and that's why they like existing franchisees that are successful going multi-unit. Another reason is that it is a culture match. Obviously, they know you, the franchisor knows them, and it really reduces franchisor-franchisee conflict, not completely, but a lot, because they already know each other and they realize that they are definitely a culture match because you have aligned values and passion for the brand, which is a lot easier, better when you know that than when you are having new franchisees coming on board, not knowing if they're going to be as passionate and aligned in the value of the brand as the ones that already exist. Another reason why franchisors like multi-unit franchisees is because they have to then do less training and they require less support, because obviously they are already trained, they've been in the system already for a while, and they have already even developed, or at least starting to develop their own business management systems that are consistent and successful. And the bigger these franchisees become in the multi-unit enterprise, the less support that they need, because they will be very much trained and well known as far as the brand is concerned, which then obviously requires less investment for the franchisor in terms of time and money. Now, obviously, if existing franchisees become multi-unit, there are also less issues. It reduces, like I mentioned, a franchisor-franchisee conflict. There's better communication because they know how things work, and they're the most vested in the business, in the brand, because the more units they have, the more part of their business or their money is into this particular brand. And so obviously there is more, commitment towards making it successful. Another reason is, it's definitely less costly for the franchisor. The franchisor, has what we call FBCs, franchise business consultants. And these are the men and women that represent the brand in support of the franchisees. These are the field consultants that go and meet with the franchisees, visit the units, and make sure that the things are being implemented the right way. And so obviously these FBCs are assigned by franchisee, not by unit. Now, obviously in a brand that most units are single unit franchisees, each FBC can only handle so many franchisees. And therefore they're, if they have too many single units, they can only handle so many franchisees and so many units, per franchisee. But if you start having more multi-unit franchisees, and again, the FBCs are assigned to a franchisee, then obviously there is less need for FBCs because there are less franchisees in a mostly multi-unit organization. And that is one of the reasons also why franchisors want a lot more multi-unit franchisees. Now, again, it has a lot less risk, because they already have a proven relationship, a proven operations, a proven business, and therefore, there is less risk for the franchisor giving, these additional units or issuing these additional units to these franchisees. And also one of the things that is also another big advantage for franchisors in having multi-unit organizations or multi-unit franchisees is that these multi-unit franchisees, as they are proven and growing their organization, the access to capital becomes a lot less of an issue. Why? Because it's less risky for banks to provide capital to a business that has been proven, successful in the long run. And therefore access to capital, which means access to growth, is a lot easier than if you have a single unit franchisee that the banks don't know whether they do a good job and whether they're going to be successful. So as you can see, there's lots of reasons why franchisors want multi-unit franchisees in their organization. Why is this important for you to know this? That is because we all know that one unit is a job. Multi-unit is an enterprise, and an enterprise can truly offer time and financial freedom for you as a franchisee. If you can think of, the average franchise does about $500,000 in sales, and the average franchise does about 10% net profit, assuming is a proven model with a average operator. Now, that net profit is before taxes and any loan payment. So really, a franchise owner, takes per unit about 5% of net sales. So in a $500,000 a year business, that means that you're taking about $25,000 a year in profitability. Now, if you are running one unit and you're taking the manager salary, which is anywhere between $40,000 to $50,000, that means that in a year, one franchise can give you about $75,000. That is truly replacing a salary of a job, of an average job, right? And so that's not going to get you either free because you're running it, or financially free, either time freedom or financially. All right, so that's not going to give you time freedom because you're obviously running the business if you are taking the manager salary, and it's not going to give you financial freedom because you're not going to get rich out of, $75,000 a year, assuming you have the average model doing the average profits. However, if you go into a multi-unit enterprise, that $25,000 profit per unit escalates. You have 2 units, now you have double the amount. You have 3 units, now you have triple the amount. You have 4 units, now you have quadruple the amount. And as you can see, you are able to really duplicate and triplicate your income by having more units, and you simply are putting managers in place. Now, of course, you're not making the manager salary, but all that profit you're making, and now you're not running the business, which is a huge advantage, for you as a franchisee. Also, you want to know why franchisors want to get the, multi-unit franchisees, because they will make it easier for you to acquire development area. This will also be easier for you to be able to then open more units because franchisors want you to do that if you are successful running the one unit, which is why it's so important. Now, how to grow your organization, your multi-unit organization is going to be one of two ways. And I already mentioned that a little bit, which is either you're going to open brand new units within the area, ideally of where your existing unit is, or you're going to be acquiring either underperforming units or units from franchisees that honestly are starting to retire. If you go back and think that franchising really had a big boom in the 80s and early 90s. So right now, that's 30 years ago, 30 to 40 years. So those men and women are aging and they're getting to the point that they want to get out. And many of their children do not want the business. So the opportunities that are happening right now for you to be able to then acquire units from your existing brand or to obtain those areas agreements and open multi-unit is really very good opportunity right now. Something else for you to know is that as you grow your organization into a multi-unit enterprise, I will tell you that you're going to have better retention rates of your employees, which is not only the biggest asset that you have in business, but one of the biggest challenges is retaining employees. But if you have a multi-unit organization that is actually even growing, now you are able to offer those employees the opportunity for growth, and that improves retention. Right? So basically, the more units you have, the easier it is to manage them because now you have a manager in each unit, and because people have opportunities for growth, they're less likely to leave. And the more units you have, the more money you make. So it's easier for you and more beneficial. So it makes total sense, a logic that as a franchisee, you want to be able to take advantage of the fact that the franchisor wants more multi-units because you also want more multi-units because it will help you achieve your true goal of time and financial freedom. Now, I know that there are some franchisees that are concerned about what's going to happen when you grow multi-units because it is not the same thing to have one unit as it is to run multiple. Now, I'm going to say, don't worry too much about that. I will suggest two things. Number one, follow the American Franchise Academy YouTube channel. We share a lot of information. This podcast is one of them. So join us and follow us on YouTube or on a podcast, either on iTunes or on Spotify, and listen to all the things that we share for you to have more knowledge on how to successfully manage a multi-unit organization. And second, if you want to learn more knowledge, visit us at our American Franchise Academy website and learn about the programs that we have designed to support you as a multi-unit franchisee, as well as your unit managers and your multi-unit leaders or district managers overseeing your multiple locations. We can help you achieve your dream of business ownership through franchising into a multi-unit enterprise so that you can achieve that time and financial freedom. I hope that this was helpful for you, and we'll see you in the next podcast.